Susan, this visit by China's Premier Li Keqiang is about building on what is already a comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries. Premier Li is also the most senior Chinese official to come to Cuba since US President Barack Obama's historic visit here earlier this year after the US and Cuba restored diplomatic relations. China's Premier Li Keqiang arrived in Havana on Saturday for the start of a three-day visit to China's closest friend in the region. Cuba is the only communist country in the Western Hemisphere, and the two countries have long enjoyed strong ideological as well as commercial ties. In his discussions with Cuba's President Raul Castro, the two sides are looking at how best they can further deepen their bilateral ties.
The Cuban government has defined it as the most important strategic partner of Cuba. And it has to do not only with the economics of the relationship, the economic relationship is very intense, but because the political aspect of the relationship is very important. I think you have to bear in mind that these are the leaderships of two revolutionary governments that overthrew a capitalistic system and imposed a new system.
Economically, though, they have grown apart. Cuba is only now starting on the road towards market reforms. But there is a growing interest in China about business opportunities here, and earlier this year saw the first direct flights from Beijing to Havana via Canada. China is Cuba's main supplier of manufactured goods, from cars and buses to household electrical appliances. Telecommunications is another key area of cooperation, with Chinese companies helping expand internet infrastructure throughout the island. In a ceremony on Saturday evening, Premier Li and President Castro oversaw the signing of a range of agreements, including credit lines to build wind farms and biomass power plants for renewable energy. Susan, more agreements are due to be signed on Sunday, including, we expect, investment in Cuba's biotechnology and pharmaceutical sector, an area where the two countries have been working closely together for several years now. Premier Li is also due to meet some of the Cubans of Chinese ethnic origin. Historically, back almost a century ago, Cuba had the largest Chinatown in Latin America. Susan.
I've heard about that, Michael. Fascinating. Well, tell us, how does China view Cuba's renewed relations with the United States? And does it see this, Michael, as a threat to other interests?
I think China does not see this renewed relations between the old enemies, Cuba and the United States, as a threat to China. Although in terms of commercial competition, that could certainly grow, especially when the US trade embargo against Cuba finally comes to an end. As one Chinese official said, there is a lot of mutual trust between China and Cuba, something that is still lacking in the US-Cuban relationship. And I think the other side is that Cuba's undergoing a major change now. It's trying to update its social and economic models, and the Chinese believe that renewed relations with the US will help Cuba's development, and anything that helps Cuba develop at this point will be a good thing.